So the story goes, Johnny Goldberger arrives at college for freshman year, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and excited about being pre-med. After sophomore year and receiving his grade in organic chemistry, he quickly pivots to pre-law. In the middle of his senior year, after receiving his LSAT scores, he switches direction once again. In response to the essay prompt in his graduate program application, Johnny confidently explains that he has always wanted to be a rabbi. Life is tough and is filled with difficult choices. And many of us are plagued by doubt about our decisions and our path ahead. What direction should we choose? How do we take the first step? Where are we headed? While these questions feel relatable to most, if not all of us, the same does not seem to be true for Abraham for this week's Torah reading. Parshat Lech Lecha famously begins with God telling Abraham, Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladecha u'mibeit avicha el ha'aretz asher areka. Go forth from your land and from your birthplace and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. God continues, I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse him that curses you, and all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you. Next we are told, Vayelech Avram ka'asher diber elev Adonai. Abram went forth as the Lord had commanded him. There is no dialogue, no response from Abraham. Abraham simply does as God instructed him. While the rest of us might stop and think, consider and reconsider, think through the pros and cons, Abraham, so it seems, reacts swiftly and seemingly without doubt. Perhaps our life decisions would be similarly uncomplicated if we heard God's call directly, but wouldn't we still take a moment to pause and think? What then are we to make of Abraham's immediate and decisive response to God's command? What lessons could it possibly contain for us? Finally, what do we learn about decisions and journeys from Abraham's story? The rabbis asked similar questions. They offered numerous commentaries to add texture and nuance to the sparse biblical text. First, the rabbis argued that Abraham's decision was not, despite what it may seem, an easy one. Rather, it demonstrates Abraham's faithfulness and bravery. Chaim ibn Attar, the 18th century Moroccan rabbi, better known by the name of his book, The Or HaChaim, notes that the Torah wants to show Abraham's love for God. He explains that for this reason, Abraham set out immediately, without waiting for God to elaborate on God's original instructions. While a contemporary reader might question the wisdom of such a decision, this interpretation suggests that all journeys and transitions, even Abraham's, require a leap of faith. This is true even if you have God telling you not only what to do, but what will become of you. Although the text does not reveal Abraham's internal struggle or strife, leaving, even for him, required courage, strength, conviction, and to borrow the Or HaChaim's language, love. Second, the rabbis debate when Abraham's journey, in fact, began. Towards the end of Parshat Noach, right after we are first introduced to Abraham, chapter 11, verses 30 and 31 of Breshit read, Now Sarai was barren, she had no child. Terach took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and they set out together from Ur of the Chaldeans for the land of Canaan. But when they had come as far as Haran, they settled there. Looking back on this verse, it seems fair to say that Abraham wasn't, in fact, the initiator of this great journey to Canaan. Perhaps Terach, his father, should receive the credit. Again, the rabbis make some effort to assure us of Abram's brave and principled choice. Ibn Ezra, the 12th century Spanish commentator, notes on the verse that God's command to Abraham in chapter 12, verse 1, must have occurred before Terach took him to Haran. As is well known, the events in the Torah are not necessarily in chronological order. Rabbi David Kimchi of 12th and 13th century France states that Abram may have remained in Haran for a while trying to persuade his father to come along. Kimchi goes so far as to say that Abraham told his father that he had been commanded to leave, and Terach agreed to go along. Since he was the father, the text gives him pride of place. While the commentators' efforts to retain the centrality of Abraham in this narrative, I would argue that the mention of Terach is actually quite significant. We are never the solo architects of our journeys. We all come from somewhere and have been guided and helped along by those who came before us. Terach, as a good father to Abram, started the journey. In fact, the Or HaChaim notes that when Terach realized that his son did not beget children in Ur Kasdim, he left in the direction of the land of Canaan to see if his luck would improve. Almost all of us are indebted to our parents and ancestors who made real sacrifices on our behalf so that we might benefit in the future. Finally, there's the language of God's command to Abraham that can teach us yet another critical lesson about Abraham's journey and our own. We learn in Pirkei Avot that God tested Abraham with 10 tests, and that Abraham withstood them all. According to Maimonides, the first test is God telling Abraham to leave his homeland to be a stranger in the land of Canaan. The last of these tests is God telling Abraham to sacrifice his dear son Isaac upon an altar. In chapter 22, verse 2, God says to Abraham, Kach na et bincha et yechidcha asher ahavta et Yitzchak v'lech lecha el eretz haMoriah. Take your son, your favored one, Isaac, whom you love, and go forth to the land of Moriah. Not only does the repetitive nature of the words immediately bring to mind our verse at the beginning of Parshat Lech Lecha, but here too, the term Lech Lecha is employed. There is, however, a key difference in their language. The first Lech Lecha instruction is Me Artzecha, from your land. The second Lech Lecha is El Eretz, to the land. This suggests that journeys are difficult. They start with leaving, Me, move away from something which is never easy. Yet once we arrive at our destination, we may find that we are going towards, El, something meaningful, not just away from that which we know and cherish. While leaving can be hard, journeys also hold the promise of the unknown and the unexpected on the way to somewhere new. While I'm not 75 years old like Abraham was when God first called to him, like Rabbi Akiva, I began this journey of rabbinical school at the ripe old age of 40. After having already graduated from cantoral school at JTS and having worked in a pulpit for a number of years. The decision to go back to school was not an easy one. And the journey has been anything but simple or straightforward. It has been filled with challenge, there have been trials and tribulations, and God has never once called out to me, telling me which class I should take or with which professor I should study. But it also wasn't a journey I took on my own. I could not have done this without the support of my friends and family and the incredible help of our instructors, teachers, and professors. I've been amazed by the surprises and opportunities that have come along the way. And it has always been with the hope of a destination of some sort that has carried me along. It is for all of these reasons that the editors of the Siddur Lev Shalem begin their blessing for someone experiencing a transition in life with God's call to Abraham. As is our tradition here, after I finish this sermon, I will recite the words of the Kaddish de Rabbanan. But first, I will close with this prayer. This is not just for me and my fellow members of the graduating class who will be completing their rabbinical school journey this May, but for anyone who's taking a new job, entering or leaving military service, moving to a new community, moving on after a divorce, beginning retirement, or experiencing any other moments of significant change. Journeys, after all, come in all shapes and sizes, and all of them begin with a trepidatious and courageous first step. The prayer reads as follows. May the one who told our ancestor to go forth, the one who commanded the humble one to tell Jeshurun, walk in God's paths, the one who whispered to the lover, rise up, my beloved, and come away, bless you on your journeys, and be with you in every step you take, in the times when consequences are hidden from your eyes, and in those moments when the path is clear. May you remain true to God throughout, that wherever you go, you may find success. May God protect you from all troubles and sorrow. May you journey in peace, and may you arrive at your heart's fulfillment in peace. So may it be God's will, and let us say, Amen. Kaddish de Rabbanan. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemeh rabba. Be'alama divarak kiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh. Bechayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'meru. Amen. Yehi shemeh rabba mevarach le'alam ul alamei alamaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit ramam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit ale v'yit halal shemeh dekutsha. Barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alama v'meru, amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Talmidehon, ve'al kol Talmidehon, ve'al kol man daskin be'oraita, di ve'atra haden ve'di ve'chol atar va'atar, yehelahon ulchon shlama, rabba, china v'chista v'rachamin, v'chayin arichin umzona revicha, ufur kana min kodam avohon divishmaya ve'meru, amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim tovim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael v'meru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu barachamav ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael v'meru, amen. Mazel tov. tov and simmen tov yehelanu.